One man's waste is another man's treasure. In Māori culture, the fish head is the best. It's the most revered part. For white people, it's normally the fillets.
This part of the fish is most of the people, they throw it away, but there's a lot of food in there. It's a lot of fishermen, they just need this part here.
Māori are the original inhabitants of Aotearoa, New Zealand. In traditional practices, in our own culture, the head was the most revered part, and you would often give the head to the chief because there were many nutrients in the head. The eyes are my favourite. A lot of collagen in there. The fish are a big part of our diet, but it being in the city, it's less accessible unless you have a boat. My name is Lionel Hotene, born and bred in South Auckland.
My name is Sam Wolford, born in West Auckland. We live in a really multicultural city. What we have is different communities who respect different parts of the fish. As we recognise these natural resources are becoming more and more scarce, we've got to use it properly. For us, the idea of maximum utilisation is conservation. If we can do more with less, then that in itself is conservation. If we can feed more families with one fish than we did historically, then that means we don't have to take as much fish out of the water. Use it completely, don't waste it. We've got all these fish parts, we've got all these heads and frames, we're just dumping them at the moment, but we think there's a better way. I work with an organisation called Legacy. We are a non-profit organisation and we're focused on looking after the marine environment. At the moment there's a lot of waste in our commercial fishing or industrial processing streams, and that's something that we need to address. So we first met in 2016. We were actually introduced through an organisation called the Outboard Boating Club. Their executive committee came to us at Legacy and said, we've got all these fish parts, we've got all these heads and frames, we're just dumping them at the moment, but we think there's a better way. We don't know what that is, but we think that we can be doing better here. It was at the same time that Scott McIndoe, who founded Legacy, saw a newspaper article about this marae in South Auckland that grew 80,000 kumara. He wandered out to this marae, introduced himself to Lionel.
This Pākehā white guy came to the marae in his flash car, and I was thinking, who's this guy? Is he the probation officer? A little bit sceptical, and then he came in and propositioned the idea of repurposing the fish that were coming from OBC and for us to distribute to our communities. He put his word where his mouth was, and he purchased a couple of fridges for us. He then went on to get us a van for us to be able to distribute that, and it's been all go from there. A marae is likened to a community hub, a community place where all people are welcome. In this urban environment, we look after everybody, no matter who you are, where you're from. Well, we've been here since we were little kids. We used to run away from the garden. Now we find ourselves running back.
Kai Ika is a logistical service that actually collects unwanted fish heads and frames and gives them to the community who appreciate them. If you don't want it, share it with somebody who does. So we fillet your fish. Any of the fish parts you don't want, we take back to the marae. So it's a win-win.
I'm George Burke, work for Hauraki Express. We're a family business, fishing charters mainly. Fishing's our priority. Previously, guys just took their fish away and maybe got it, did the filleting themselves or got some fishmonger to do it somewhere else, and a lot of that fish would have been probably wasted. So it's great to have these guys do it and to know that anything that was previously wasted is actually going to great use.
We're down here at our Kai Ika filleting station, West Haven Marina, and what we do down here is we offer a fish filleting service, and we get to keep the heads and frames. So the idea here is not only do we create revenue to cover the cost of the distribution, we actually also get to collect more kaimoana as well. So we're taking the frames, and you can just see how much flesh is left on that. And there's also a huge amount of flesh on the heads. So in the cheeks, up in the top up here, there's just heaps of good food. And there's also the wings. Now these wings are gold because each one of those is a meal in itself.
So this is our Kai Ika container. So this is where the community comes to pick up their fish. We're never short of recipients. At the moment, currently we're doing about a tonne a week. So today we're going to do a fish curry. This is the snapper head. Snapper head, best part of the fish. So after we've finished smoking the heads, we're going to remove the skin, the scales, and some of the bones that we'll use for broth. Look at that stuff. This is the collagen. This is what you want. This is the medicine right there. And then of course the best part, bro, the eye. So you look at all the meat that's in there. That was just from 3 fish heads. So imagine all of this getting thrown in.
All of that came from, was it 5 heads?
5 heads.
2 wings.
2 wings.
And we're going to make a dish that'll feed 10 people.
We're going to go in with our onions and our ginger. Chuck in the curry powder. And then now we're going to add the coconut cream. There it is. We're adding in probably about 2 handfuls. This is a recipe that's been handed down from the ages. So I'm just going to give it a little taste. Very good. Here it is. This is the finished product of the curry fish head soup and rice. This is my grandson and my son, if he wants to come over and have a little taste. This is Manaya, and he's a little, big thumbs up. You're holding identity. This marae becomes very important. You should be proud to be Māori because, you know, my grandmother got strapped at school for speaking te reo, speaking her language. So we're in this space now where we're revitalising our culture. A lot of our whanau that live in this community are in low socio-economic status. So, you know, after paying the rent and paying the power, you know, there's very little money to buy food. So, yeah, this often becomes the first choice.
So this is our edible garden space there. Over here we have our classroom. So up here, when we first started the Kai Ika Project, we were having problems with a lot of the guts and what we could do with the guts. So we just trenched a lot of it.
Historically, 36%, 38% yield from a fish is considered good. Through the Kai Ika Project, we're aiming for closer to 90% human consumption. And that last 10%, the guts, the gills, the offal, that goes straight into the garden.
I come here to pick some fish for the people, for my people, for the church people.
I cook it with coconut cream. Yeah, really nice with the onion.
I think that is awesome how it's been used. It should have been done long ago because there are a lot of people out here in need of, you know, they're hungry, and to have this food available to us, I think it's a big thing.
Our traditional practices, like our hua parakore, our organic status, talks about total utilisation. It's nothing new for us. And we have a saying called ko au te whenua, I am the land, and ko te whenua ko au, and the land is me. So the well-being of the land directly relates to our own well-being. And that looks like looking after the fish and being able to use the whole lot. So it's nothing new to us, yeah.